All you did was make statements and no facts to nothing that you're talking about. 300 West Sibley, they tried to take that man property. He won in court. This was under Rowley administration. Jason House knows. But y'all ain't fighting for that though, right? Y'all ain't fighting to make people whole and make things right.
Okay, let's move on. Next one's item 2, 300 West Sibley. Trustee Henyard.
As you guys know, I'm in favor of redevelopment for my community. Bob Michael have been across our board several times, and we have been back and forth as it relates to his development.
This is 300 West Sibley. This is the Old Drove River Center. As relates to 300 West Sibley, you guys know that we have been sued by this developer. 300 West Sibley actually did sue the Village of Dolton for their land. Over there was the Old Drove River Center, and they won. The ex-mayor, Riley Rogers, tried to take this property from Bob Michaels.
It has been brought to my attention that we, meaning the village, so I'm assuming the mayor, is not allowing them to move forward with developing 300 West Sibley. And currently now they're trying to fix this area. And I suggested they making it to a restaurant row. It's been abandoned for several years, over a decade. And one of my visions is to make it into a restaurant row project. If you look at the screen to my right, you will see their plans to basically fix this area. Please reach out to the developer. That person is Bob Michaels.
Many of you people here know who I am. For those that don't, my name is Robert Michael. For those that don't, my name is Bob Michael. I'm the owner of 300 West Sibley, the Old Drove River Center. Okay. I'm here again to appeal to the Board of Trustees to help the mayor put in the development that she has proposed for Restaurant Row. This project is going to create no less than 100 full-time jobs, no less than $500,000 of tax revenue to the village. Employment, economic development, all types of additional monies will come into the community.
So basically today I would like to hear why we're not letting that individual redevelop that area.
As far as those that wouldn't meet with me, I hope I can make some progress with you again today. You're hurting everyone. There's no benefit to your decision not to proceed with this. There's no economic benefit, none whatsoever. So I appeal to your, it's not a sob story, I appeal to your, forgive me for that.
They can pull permits, they can start gutting out the building, and not only that, they want to put a grocery store there.
We will be trying our best to do the restaurant row that the mayor has been so wonderful in proposing.
I invited them into this meeting. I don't know if they on. Giovanni, did they chime in? Are they on this Zoom call?
And I don't want your money. I'm a working man. You are working people. There's no heir apparent trust fund babies that are amongst us. People, I don't want your money. I really, really don't. So please help them make the right decision. I'd like to thank the mayor again for your tireless efforts.
Can you give me the name, Trustee Henyard, and I can let you know?
Bob Michael.
Thank you. And I love you, and I appreciate you.
No, I don't see anyone.
Maybe you can explain to us why they can't move forward, or y'all won't let them move forward.
I appeal to your desire to do the right thing. That building has been sitting empty for 14 years. Wow. March 9th, 14 years.
Because we do have an agreement with them, which they sued the Village of Dolton, and basically they were able to develop the area.
Attorney Murphy, we've been through this several times in the past when Trustee Henyard brought this up. You want to refresh your memory again where we're at with this?
Sure. First of all, practically everything that Trustee Henyard said is not accurate.
I put this on the agenda just to get an update to tell you where we are with the TIF district for 300 West Sibley. I will refer this to the attorney to elaborate.
This goes back to the problems that the owner had going back to 2010 through 2012, where he claimed that prior administrations of the village refused to allow that property to operate for legitimate uses.
Previous mayors had done their very level best to steal my building. They deprived me of having new tenants that would get licensing. I won't rehash all of the things that happened with Mayor Lewis and the subsequent mayor.
A lawsuit was filed in 2014. The plaintiff was seeking millions of dollars in damages.
On December 5th of 2016, myself and the village entered into a settlement agreement in a federal lawsuit that I had to file.
And we ultimately worked out what I believe should be a win-win agreement.
We entered into a settlement agreement with 300 West Sibley in order to try to get this property revitalized and on the tax rolls. At the time we entered into this agreement, the property owner, Mr. Michael, was several $100,000 in default on current and back property taxes.
$1.5 million of fraudulently levied taxes on the property in the attempt to take it from me.
The reason the taxes haven't been paid result in one reality, that without active intervention from the village, this property will never develop because of all the challenges that it has.
Under the terms of the settlement agreement, the village acquired the property through the Cook County no cash bid process, which the board authorized.
The basic concept of the no cash bid program is to assist municipalities and other taxing bodies with the purchase of tax delinquent properties for reuse as private development.
The county from time to time allows cities and villages to buy property for free by filing a no cash bid with Cook County.
These specific projects are designed to generate property tax and sales tax from parcels that had once been a drain on municipal resources.
That has occurred, so the Cook County Board has approved the Village of Dolton acquiring title to the property.
After the village board acquired the property through no cash bid, there was a waiting period to see if anybody would attempt to redeem the taxes. Nobody did.
The next part of the process takes several months, and we're probably in the second or third month of that now. And that is for the village to obtain what's called a tax deed.
After determining that qualifying delinquent taxes were present, municipalities submitted request packages for those properties in hopes that they would eventually secure the tax deeds in order to redevelop and improve their communities.
Essentially like a foreclosure, where if anybody has a claim on the property, they have to make it. Once that period of time expires, title to the property goes to the village with zero taxes.
In April of this year, the village finally got deed to the property. Now that we've gotten the property in the village title, we own this property. The Village of Dolton owns this property.
All you did was make statements and no facts to nothing that you're talking about. 300 West Sibley, 300 West Sibley, 300 West Sibley. They tried to take that man's property. We have been sued by this developer.
Me and my family lost $1,000 a day. Nightmare.
He won in court and they won. The ex-mayor, this was under Riley administration. Jason House knows. Riley Rogers tried to take this property from Bob Michaels.
I have been sitting there losing that $1,000 a day since then till today.
Bob Michaels put him in court, won, and we had to basically create a TIF district for him to develop this property.
In April of this year, the village finally got deed to the property. We are now at the point where we can move forward with establishing a TIF district.
We have 2 or 3 TIF districts in the village, but there hasn't been one created in several years.
TIF, or Tax Increment Financing, is an economic development tool used to encourage economic growth and create jobs by allowing developers to pursue developments that they normally wouldn't pursue if they had to fund the projects on their own.
Essentially, what is involved at that is for the village to hire a qualified consultant who will study the property and make a determination whether it is what the law calls blighted.
Typically, a developer will have to prove 3 items to be true in order to receive approval. Number 1, that the area is blighted or that conservation is needed to keep the area from becoming blighted.
Based on the consultant's advice, then the village has to undergo what's probably a 4 to 6 month process.
Number 2, that you can't afford the development on your own. This is called the but-for test. Number 3, that the project you're seeking to create is going to benefit the entire community and not just the developer.
Including public hearings, notice to all the taxing bodies to establish this property as a tax increment financing district.
For example, let's say there's a 100,000 square foot shopping center in your community that is run down and needs to be redeveloped. The real estate taxes on the property are $1 a square foot, or $100,000 annually. Your community wants to have a new grocery store in town, so the developer designs a plan in which will include a new grocery store, new sidewalks, improved streets and roads, and so on and so forth. Let's assume these improvements cost $10 million. The new property, along with the improvements, are estimated to increase the property's real estate taxes to $4 a square foot, or $400,000. The difference between the $100,000 and the $400,000 is the increment.
All of the new property tax revenue from any new development will be utilized, will be captured by the village as opposed to being distributed to all of the taxing bodies.
The annual tax property increases are restricted or frozen at the current level. The increment above that frozen level is then used to pay off the financing, and once the TIF has been paid in full, the community will now have the benefit of the tax revenue, which is at $4 a square foot instead of $1 a square foot.
Our agreement makes it very clear that we have no obligation, once we create the TIF district, to reconvey this property to the owner unless the owner comes forward to us with what we call a suitable anchor tenant.
We had to basically create a TIF district for him to develop this property, get him a Class 8, and also help him with getting vendors to go in the spot.
The village will own the property. That if the previous owner wants this property back, they've got to come up to the village with a firm commitment from a suitable anchor tenant.
Thankfully, Mayor Henyard was elected. Mayor Henyard has taken the lead to conceptualize converting that building into a restaurant road.
Grocery store, a home improvement store, car dealer, or any other large sales tax producer. So the key to this agreement for the village is to get control of the property, eliminate the back taxes, and working with the former owner, bring a good sales tax producer to the village.
The increment is then multiplied by 20 years, equaling roughly $6 million. Then it is discounted by a discount rate. This would result in about a $4 million TIF for the developer to either bond or to collect quarterly as a pay-as-you-go.
Number two was to provide me with a $2 million TIF to offset the multi-million dollars worth of damage that were done to the building.
So the step that we're at now under the settlement agreement is to start this tax increment financing eligibility study and public hearing process.
I'd like to table this until the committee that's in an item on today's agenda is formed. That's item G.
G, as in girl, and by that committee not being formed yet, even if it's formed tonight, no real hard decision could be made.
I'm trying to see exactly what will we benefit. I know 300 West Sibley is a big piece of property.
This kind of a project is a marathon and not a sprint. If we paid for the consultant through our general fund, that money would be in effect owed to the general fund from the TIF district. And once the TIF district starts creating property taxes, in a few years there would be reimbursement from the TIF fund to the general fund. And that, again, that's specifically in the agreement.
If you guys want, we could put it in finance committee. I have no problem with vetting anything through, but I don't want to stall. So if you want to put it in finance committee, we can definitely have a committee meeting this week. Different proposals on our desk. I would like the board to review and pick a company so that we can finalize this at the next board meeting to approve the TIF. So
right now you're asking the board to research what you've provided.
Yes.
And in the next board meeting, you would put it on an agenda to try to get an approval for it?
Yes.
Okay. 300 West Sibley Tax Increment Financing District.
I'm trying to basically get approval to start a TIF district at the 300 West Sibley area. Attorney Murphy, can you kind of like explain why it is we're moving this forward?
Yes, part of our settlement agreement of the 300 West Sibley case was that we would go through the process to establish that property as a TIF district and have the TIF district in place right around the time that we're scheduled to acquire the property through the county's no cash bid.
Thank you. I would like to make a motion to approve Kane and McKenna and Associates.
I move to table this item to the next regular village board meeting.
Second.
Exactly what the mayor says. This board sits here and does nothing. They drag their feet.
Clerk, Clerk,
Again,
there
a
is no
TIF district is
discussion
something for
on the
economic
table.
development
Clerk,
to help the community. And here it is again, they want to table.
Clerk, there is
They
no
have to stop
discussion on the
tabling and
table,
do the
clerk.
business of the people. We don't do anything for the residents, because all we do is table. When we're bickering, mad with one another, they table. Why not entertain us? The attorney just stated that we have an agreement, that we have to start this. He just stated we need to start it now.
Motion has been
Is you not going to
tabled.
listen to
There's
the
no
attorney?
discussion.
What's
Robert's
the
rules
reason?
orders, no discussion on the
She's not
floor.
discussing anything. She's just making a statement.
Thank
Trustee.
you. Thank you, Mayor.
Attorney Murphy.
She is
Thank
not.
you.
Attorney Murphy.
Okay, we're going to take the roll on this.
Aye.
Aye.
No.
Aye.
Trustee Henyard.
No.
4-2.
Motion doesn't pass. Next thing on the agenda is
Right now, as Trustee Norwood said, we are in a financial disaster. On the agenda that she has, we are transferring money from the TIF money just to make out for bills that need to be paid.
All right, next on the agenda is the Village of Dolton approving the reimbursement of administrative expenses from the TIF District Number 2.
We are transferring administrative expenses from the TIF district to the general fund. When I just stated in previous conversations, we are at a point where we're transferring money from a restricted account to the general fund to make payments, to pay retro pay, things that in a functioning budget was already allocated for. This money that we are transferring, which adds up to a little bit over $1 million, they're stating are from administrative fees that have not been collected since 2005? When did y'all just realize that y'all haven't been collecting these fees?
if there's any disruption, that person will be removed, or persons will be removed. We're not answering any questions up here tonight. We're taking comments.
On the question of the TIF, and I know a lot of people are confused about a TIF, but how can we retroact 2005 up until 2019, saying we got $50,000 in an administration fee? That money was taken out now.
So I'm just reiterating and reminding you guys.
In 6 years, man, instead of talking about we broke. I've been paying taxes for 20 years. There's a room full of other people here been paying taxes for many other years. I didn't hear that small. I didn't. What you say, small mouth? What you say? What you say?
Because there's not any money going back into that TIF. That money was taken out of the TIF and spent.
Mr. Muhammad asked the question about the TIF because I wanted to know too, how can you go back 14 years to 2005?
Well, you've been here 6 years. You was a terrible trustee then anyway, and stepped into the mayor role. So we're gonna start that little signifying.
We need to clean up.
So that's what you're good for, saying small remarks,
Right.
Little bad wording. When somebody asks a question, there's always got to be something small come out your mouth instead of standing up and answering the question.
And for the administrator to receive a 3% increase on the TIFs.
And how much money are you looking to take out of the TIF to go into general funds, where general funds has a chance to be misappropriated and mishandled? That's loose money with no check and balance to it.
It seems more strange that we're at the point that we have absolutely no money, that all of a sudden we haven't been collecting administrative fees. Let's go back to 2005.
How can you do that?
So that means that when they approve this particular ordinance on that TIF, the other taxing bodies will have to raise their taxes. The library, the school, and the other taxing bodies, Park District.
Now we're forced to sit here and take money out of an account that we really shouldn't be taking money out of because we at that rainy day part.
When somebody tells you that we're cleaning up our books, you can't take what they say for gospel. So if someone could please answer that, how are we going to retroactively pay over $1 million? How can you say that we're charging that TIF $50,000 going back, what was it, 2009 up until present? How can we do that when all of these taxing bodies weren't able to benefit from that?
You're talking about the Indolux transfer? The Indolux fund were bills that we already paid over the course of that year. We provided insurance for the TIF. We provided record keeping. We did not deduct any of that. So by the law and at the advice of Kasparek CPA firm and at the advice of our lawyer, they advise we can go back and recoup money because in essence we overpaid the Indulux fund.
The TIF laws in Illinois do allow for a municipality, because they are handling all of the administrative function of the TIF, to charge an administrative fee, which would come from the incremental taxes that are accumulated, that are put into the special fund of a TIF. The idea of the TIF is to help stimulate the economy, bringing in new business in areas where we don't have, or getting rid of dilapidated buildings and paving the way for possible new construction. So it is not uncommon that they will not assess a fee, because it isn't trying to get rich for the village, it's to try to get the property going. What is a fair administrative fee? The law doesn't, to my knowledge, it doesn't get into specifics like saying 4%, 8%, 1%. It really is depending on how difficult it is to keep track of a TIF and all of the work that's taking place. And so it's an arbitrary number, and you can go back and charge it from day one for all of the work that was put into the TIF, the monitoring of the TIF, paying the bills related to the TIF.
We own this property. The Village of Dolton owns this property. And now we just got the property exempt from taxes, so we can have it TIFed, so to speak, in order to move development forward. I hadn't received any communication from the former owner for a long time, until I got a copy of the letter that was apparently sent to the board. That letter speaks in terms of somebody who's a wholesaler. Wholesale produces zero sales tax. So that would not be consistent with the agreement and what the village wants. Any questions?
Thank you for trying to correct me, but you're wrong on some things, but I don't want to turn this into an argument or debate. I've been on that board, 7 years, so I know this inside out of what's going on with this deal and how we treated this individual.
Wait a minute. We have not mistreated this individual.
Let me finish. I didn't interrupt you because I didn't want to turn it into a debate. What I don't like is how, you guys always tear somebody down and you want to tell people what they can't afford or can't buy. First of all, you give somebody the due process.
This 300 Sibley redevelopment plan that you so into pushing Restaurant Row wants 9 liquor license and an entertainment venue, which you're not saying, and then asking us to give him $3.5 million to do it.
First of all, you give somebody the due process, and we see if that developer can do what they're stating. You just sit here saying, well, they're in trouble, they this, they that. How you know? Did you speak to them?
Then you tell the person, come with a better plan. He come with a better plan, say 10 sit-down restaurant. And he didn't ask for no 9 liquor license. That everybody know that I ain't giving out, because that ain't my thing. Everybody know that about me. I'm about family.
I invited them to this call, and I'm trying to understand why you guys not allowing them to come in on the Zoom call. That way we can get this understood, their attorney and your attorney.
Unfortunately, that has resulted in the necessitation of me filing another suit.
Everyone has their information. So if you wanted to reach out, you are the village attorney, you could have did so to make sure you had clarity of what is going on and what people wanted.
They have basically said to the federal court, screw you, screw Mr. Michael, we're not doing it.
But no one does that here. That's the problem. No one talks to anybody. We rather throw people under the bus than to communicate and move forward.
Also named in the suit are individual trustees who have personally done their very level best to discourage the development of that property. I will be suing them personally.
That place is vacant. It's been vacant for years, and it still look like a dump. I'm tired of that. I would love to see that redeveloped. Whether you're saying they're going to be a wholesaler or a retailer, they told me they're doing both. So you want to sit here and say they just doing wholesalers, no sales tax, they're doing retail. Retail, which we need. We need a hub. We need a food restaurant / grocery store. As you can see,
I know that I'm tired of going to other community, let alone into another state, just to eat great food. So I felt, why not put it in your own backyard?
Food is scarce. COVID is here. We don't know if that's going to end now or if it's going to end next year. So why will we sit here and say no to a developer and you ain't even getting them a chance to talk yet? I don't like that. I don't appreciate that. And I understand when people say why they don't come to Dalton to do deals, because of this right here. So again, can y'all check to see if the guy's on the line, or allow him to get access to this meeting so we can get this understood and not just go off of what you're saying, Murphy?
The potential developer should contact the village administrator. That's the way we move forward with any potential development. In terms of the challenges faced by the developer, that's not my words. Those are Mr. Michael's words. Quote,
We are trying to get it done. 10 restaurants, 100 jobs, $500,000 of taxes to the city.
due to the pandemic, while his restaurant business has severely faltered, he is challenged to meet the needs of his other obligations and his need of expansion and development into this location.
And I don't want your money. I don't want your money. I'm a working man. You are working people. I really, really don't. So I don't like the idea of taking your money.
I'm just quoting what Mr. Michael put in his letter. So let me repeat, because I remember you being in court a few times on his behalf. The village is living up to the agreement. It takes time to wipe out $1 million worth of back taxes. The village owns the property, and I encourage Mr.
Robert Michael?
I encourage him to contact Ms. Scott tomorrow to set up a meeting so the village can learn something about this person.
This potential developer, can we get anything on his background? Will we be forwarded anything on this potential developer?
The only thing I got was Friday, and it was this letter. I know zero about this developer other than what I've looked at from the Illinois Secretary of State Business and other internet sources this morning.
Attorney Murphy said it right. Let's send it through the normal process. Have the man reach out to the village administrator, have him reach out to the mayor. Village administrator is the person you heard about it through the email. So just have him reach out through the necessary change. I understand there's history there. Like Attorney Murphy said, there was court cases and people attended court cases. There may be some personal connection there.
Because I remember you being in court a few times on his behalf.
But let's send it through the necessary channel.
We're on schedule in regards to moving the TIF forward. It's not a quick process.
Attorney Murphy, how much longer for the TIF? Because I remember we had approved that. So how much longer? You got a time frame on all of this?
If I can get board authorization tonight to call the consultant.
I think if it's been through a settlement process already in court, that we just want to make sure we're following what the court settlement says.
Mayor, that attorney is, I guess, online now with us.
Yes, hi, it's Dan Gerbers. How you doing?
Can he give an overview since he's on now?
I would suggest him make an appointment with with Administrator Scott.
Oh, wow. Okay, can he get an overview of what he does or anything?
I would suggest to make an appointment with Administrator Scott.
So why we can't make it with you if he here? No, he got to talk to you?
The best time to introduce this is not at a board meeting on a Zoom call. Make the appointment with the village administrator and go from there. It's the best way to do it.
Oh, okay, Ed. Thank you, wannabe mayor. I was talking to the mayor.
Okay.
Well, I was asking mayor. Hold on. I was asking for the
Trustee
simple fact
Henyard.
to get the
Trustee
right
Henyard.
answer because you're here. We're all here, and this is the best time to do it. And it's like you guys don't want to hear it. I'm not
Trustee
understanding
Henyard.
that. Y'all are here.
I answered your question, Trustee Henyard. Mr. Garbus, all due respect, could you just make an appointment and we'll all sit down?
Certain financial disclosures are mandated under state law that the village reports to the comptroller of the state each fiscal year. The village has not, and let me repeat that, the village has not complied with these statutory requirements since fiscal year 2021. There's no annual financial report available after 2021 and no audited financial statements after 2021.
Go ahead, Sanchez. When that TIF was established, initially there was not funds coming in to cover billing related to that TIF. So the general fund was covering those expenses for that TIF.
So TIF account is a restricted funds account that should not have any transfers come out of it. A transfer approaching $700,000.
So what that means is the information that we're providing you has not been thoroughly audited by a CPA, but we do have information coming from an entity that essentially serves as the finance department.
We have several accounts for several purposes. So when we do AP billing from one central account, we move money from those accounts to pay billing. And that 672 went towards the billing.
That could reflect $700,000 additional dollars that the village has to repay to the TIF if there's not a justifiable cause.
Historically, from what we can tell, the village has had small or no full-time financial staff.
This is not something new. This is not something unheard of. And it does not create a due to TIF 2 because they owe the village.
There's a provision for a finance director There's been intermittent people that have served that role, but that role has been vacant as of May of this year.
At no time, ever, have we ever asked the Board of Trustees to transfer funds for these accounts.
So as you can see, given the lean or no financial staff, there's a lot of dependence upon the John Kasperek accounting firm, which is functionally operated as the village's finance department for some time.
Kasparek, who is the current CPA we have.
We only transfer funds when the accountants tell us to transfer funds. This happens on a monthly basis. It happens multiple times.
But each of those funds are restricted funds, meaning you cannot borrow from one to give to the other. And that is what's causing, in part, the financial crisis.
The same people that trustee have speaks with, the same people that does all the things for the village in the past and in the present now. No one is going to put their license on the line, let alone their name on the line for money. And when people sit out here and just throw numbers at you and tell you we're doing things, no one's doing anything wrong.
Deficit so-called is. So if you're not getting financials, how do you know what the deficit is?